Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 572. $30 silver and what it means. Definitely always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. Everybody around the world that listens in, always appreciative. Definitely hit the like and hit the subscribe. Always appreciate everybody that hits that button, just so we can continue to grow the channel. Definitely appreciate everybody that subscribed already and everybody that hits the like every single time on the episodes, just showing love and appreciation. So definitely appreciate everybody. This is the vault. Today we're going to be going over $30 silver and what it means. And this is a topic that probably is not going to be talked about. So we knew we had to go ahead and talk about it, hop on it, and share the importance of it. This is one of those interesting moments in history. We said we were in the roaring 20s for 2000s, and we're definitely in that right now. When you all are able to go to a website that we utilize, is called Kitco. Um, Definitely not promoting the website. Definitely not promoting who they are. It's just a resource, meaning that they are nothing is perfect, quote unquote, but they're fairly accurate. So we'll use that term, fairly accurate, meaning that their spots are fairly consistent and the data that they have is fairly consistent. So when we look at a Kitco, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about once again, we're talking about silver, and we're talking about this whole why is silver over $30 or $30 silver and what does it mean? So we always appreciate everybody. We talk to our trustees about assets all the time, and so in turn, we're going to talk about it today because this is one of those topics that people are always reaching out to us about, and they're definitely not excited about the fact that uh, they either don't have it, they just missed the upside swing. This is one of those ones where, we sat on a line, sat around some investors recently, and these were very much so novice investors, and they were talking about buying this meme stock, and they did, and it went up for a whole day, and it lost half its value the next day. So, we're definitely familiar with, you know, people being in positions where they're not fully aware of how uh, this situation works, but we're going to talk about it. And we're going to go over it. So, once again, silver's at a $30. It's been above this price point here since kind of like April. We'll say it hit. Well, actually, it crossed over here in May. It was pushing $29. Actually, broke through a resistance line at $29, and has proceeded to push up. Sure, we're seeing any type of correction or any type of retracement. So in turn, when we're looking at silver, ladies and gentlemen, this has been something that's been in our holdings for years. We talked to trustees about holding silver. It's one of the better assets to be in. We always appreciate silver because it's easier denomination. It's one of those things where when you're looking at a $30 1 ounce silver, ladies and gentlemen, silver's in your cell phone. Silver used to be the things that you used to eat your food with. Some people eat with silverware, some people don't. Used to be actual silver. So it's like looking at the pennies. Well, our pennies truly have copper in them anymore. Most people's silverware doesn't have silver in it anymore. So in turn, silver is a precious commodity. It is something that is being utilized. It is something that man, quote unquote, human man has reported that they cannot create. They have reported that since they cannot create it, and if they do, it will be synthetic. If they cannot create it, then it is in limited quantities. So we have seen that thought process come through in limited quantities. So once again, we see why copper is not even a cheap asset as well. It's pretty pricey, but they don't even have that in pennies anymore. When we say they, we're just talking about the overall population because of the depletion of the asset. Some things renew themselves, some things take longer to renew themselves. Silver takes obviously a while to, you know, become something that you can just cultivate. It's not a liquid form. It's something that's solid. So don't need to get into any chemistry class here for the purpose of this episode and the value of silver. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, silver is definitely something that is being utilized not only as a precious metal because of its limited quality aspect, it is also a industrial metal. By having an industrial metal being utilized and depleted into the society, evaporating into thin air basically because of the use, the burning of it, then in turn, we're stuck with prices where they're at $30. Clearly we can see that in action right now where silver has not been at $30 since 2020. So 4 years ago, this asset had got it to a high and had a retracement down, and actually lost. If it goes to 30 and it goes to half of its price, then it lost 50%. Actually, didn't fall completely to 50. Fell to a pretty much like a 40+% loss, and has in the past 2 years taken back off to its previous high of a 2020. So, if we're looking at all things as the economy is going great, markets are going great. Markets were going great right before 2020. Right now, the world is for sure in more than one war. The world is in a position of thinking defensively, surprisingly, and the market is going on a tear. So, ladies and gentlemen, the fundamentals of the market right now is a defensive position. We can see that whether it's militarily, or we can see that in this precious asset class. This asset class has been known as a financial asset class, not just as an industrial metal. This is a place that is considered to be safe haven, safekeeping. This is a place for savings. And so this is an asset class that many throughout the years have put their capital into, whether it's fiat, whether it is other forms of assets, whether it's real estate, whether it is art. There's collecting various different rare and antiques. Once again, this is an asset class of that caliber, and in turn, it has taken off. Why? Ladies and gentlemen, the market is growing right now because money's going into the market. It's not growing because people aren't putting money in. It's growing because people are putting money into the market. And so it's a challenge to say right now, what asset do you have that in the past, what is this? We could say actually since the beginning of this year, what asset have you had that do you have that has grown? 1 second here. Can give you the actual. So it grew by 17% in 1 year. Ladies and gentlemen, 17% before the fourth quarter or before the third quarter, it can sound like the stock market. But once again, this is one actual asset, and this asset's already taken off. And the thing we wanted to share with trustees that listen and new listeners that listen is that anyone that's over the internet painting a fear picture of doom and gloom, the stock market is going to crash, this is why these assets are going up, that's a blow to crock. Ladies and gentlemen, when they describe a crash, ladies and gentlemen, they never say it's going to go to zero because it's not. It's not going to go to zero, ladies and gentlemen. And so assets have retracements, but the overall human population still needs these assets. They still need water. That's why people pay for water. They still need silver. That's why people have silver. People still need grain. They pay for grains. The reason why these markets are growing, ladies and gentlemen, is just because people find that there's value in these asset classes, in these particular assets. So we wanted to talk about this one in particular because even a 17% growth in a quarter or two is definitely significant, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty much considered to be outperforming the long-term market. So that's already happened. When you talk about savings, ladies and gentlemen, when people talk about acquiring this gold and this silver, oh, the family estate's going to acquire gold and silver. They should. The family estate is acquiring gold and silver, precious metals, because they're liquid. They're able to be liquidated very quickly. Uh, in turn, the assets can grow independent of you having to do anything. True passive investments, if they're going to be considered that. If you look at your house, ladies and gentlemen, you could have went out and bought silver pieces in large quantities, had a 70% appreciation on that asset, quote unquote, in the past, in the past 6 months, whereas somebody's house didn't grow 17%, and it may not grow 17% in a year, let alone in 6 months. So as you can see, comparison wise, where are people to be putting their capital? The capital right now markets are saying that silver is something that is actually in demand. It's being purchased, and it is something that has value. And so that's why the price is reflecting that right now. The price is reflecting actually a future value. So people are the market is sharing with us right now at this price point, ladies and gentlemen, that this market is looking for growth. And so why are we looking? Why is the silver market looking for growth, ladies and gentlemen? The silver market is looking for growth. Why? Why now? The reason why silver is, you know, gonna go to that price for sure. It's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. Where are we at with this silver? Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the middle of some wars right now. The world's thinking defensively. We're in a market right now that this is a savers market. Yeah, people talk about putting money into some type of bank with interest rates and all this other good stuff. A lot of uncertainty in the world. Because there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, ladies and gentlemen, there is a flocking to these assets. Um, Once again, if the family estate is acquiring these assets, they're in a very beneficial position because they're able to be liquid, be nimble, have an asset appreciate very, very quickly in the market. It has something, they have their hands on something that is not a failure asset. It's not an asset that will go to zero or go to the bottom. And for that reason, when you look at this as an asset class or an asset in general, where we're talking about precious metals, gold's at an all-time high, has been there. We could easily, go over that. But right now, we want to talk about silver because it's a little bit more affordable for most people. When you talk about poor man's, what do they call it? Like a poor man's like treasure or like a poor man's like way to get out of poverty. The way that you do that is by having a asset. You're not considered poor if you have assets. So once you have assets and the family estate has assets, this is one of the cheaper ones to go get in. And then in turn, you've seen that it's appreciated rather quickly this year. We have worked with families for many years about holding this particular asset um, for various reasons that we've already mentioned on this episode. This is not one of those, day trading moves. It's not a get in and get out type thing. Even with it being at $30, it warrants the people to get out of the position for sure. It warrants people to get out of the position every single time. It warrants people to get out of the position because they're at a high right now. They say buy low, sell high. If someone bought at $20, someone bought at $17, they've made money. So do they take money off the table? Possibly. Um, you know, and reassess the actual investment itself or the trade itself or the holding itself. Definitely. Is it one of those things where it should be put into a liquidity situation, meaning that there is a cash out once again of this silver? Once again, it could be just because once again people buy low, sell high. That's the common man's philosophy on the market, and in turn, it is what it is. If that's what they're gonna do, that's what they're gonna do. Just this, it's not gonna go to zero. So if someone buys back in, they may just buy in at a different price point, um, and they have to think about that. They really have to think about that because this is one of those assets that has done nothing but continuously go up over a period of time. It's been in a uptrend for a long time, and it hasn't actually broken any type of levels of going up. It's just or going down. It's literally just not necessarily skyrocketed to the moon, as some people say, but it definitely has a lot of market potential, especially the times that we're in when you hear the it's just so much uncertainty in the market. I mean, even if we went and looked at the VIX, ladies and gentlemen, the VIX on the stock market right now, the volatility index is one of those things. Is the VIX really this low? Once again, the VIX is not at highs, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so if anything, it makes you wonder, like, is the market in a place where people feel safe right now? Uh, we could say sentimentally, people may or may not feel safe, but the fundamentals, unless we're going off of the company's performance and excluding the market, ladies and gentlemen, you have to go look at these companies and find out what they're doing right now. And from what we can see, ladies and gentlemen, there's definitely been some growth. But when you say, okay, where's the growth right now? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if people aren't putting money into stocks and they're putting it into silver and it grew 17% in 6 months, that means that money's going into silver. Quite a bit of it globally. And once again, it's a cheaper, safe haven. Once again, we somebody sent us this video of somebody that pretty much is a doom and gloomer, and they're saying that the market's going to go and there's going to be some type of financial reset and all this other stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go off the fear place, go ahead. And that's just going to scare people out of positions. Anyone that discourages somebody from making a financial move that they want to make and they're willing to take that risk, that already lets you know the type of caliber individual you're dealing with. Of course, somebody would say, "Oh man, advise them, don't advise them incorrectly." But most people aren't financial advisors, even at the vault. This isn't financial advice. We're having a conversation with trustees traditionally that want to acquire this asset and actually missed it from $25, and now they're missing whether it's a 10% growth or even a 14 plus percent upside that they could have been in for 2 3 years now, and they just didn't take advantage of taking some of the savings, putting it in a position that, oh, we do have cash, and oh, my 401k, my this, my that, my 401k. Did the 401k just grow 17% in less than 2 years? And the price point, the barrier to entry was less than $40. People talk about buying stocks all the time, but then you have this one right here, silver. It's not a stock, quote unquote, and it grew that much. And people still say, "Oh man, you should go buy this and buy that." Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking for sure to the trustees, new listeners. This is one of those things where people say, "Well, silver in the portfolio. What should be in the portfolio? How diverse should I be into this asset class?" Ladies and gentlemen, do you use your cell phone every single day? Yes. Then silver is in demand. Silver is in your cell phone. So by silver being in your cell phone, should you hold silver in the portfolio? Yes. You're already utilizing it as an industrial metal, but it is truly classified as a precious metal because the asset is in limited quantities. I mean, it's not rocket science that a human cannot make silver. And once again, anything can be made synthetically, sure, but there is a certain use for silver that there's levels of authenticity that are going to have to it is going to have to pass. Even if it's synthetic, it's going to have to pass quality control purposes. So, oh man, should I go get silver? Do we do with the silver? What do we do with the silver? Where do I hold the silver? You gonna hold it on you or the family estate in a safe, or we gonna put it in the bank? It's all something. It's crazy because it's just so much misinformation over the internet. Like what we're talking about is what it is. It's $30 plus on the market. We don't need to give a specific quote because the price is moving. It is May 22nd, 2024. Yes, the the silver price per the public markets. Once again, kitco.com, very general website. They're not owned by the government. People think it's they have this conspiracy theory mentality, and it does not serve them. And finance conspiracy theory does not serve you. If that was the case, people would have said silver is not what it's doing right now. There's no value in silver. There's no value in gold. There's no this. There's no that. It's like no. These are quality assets that once again we just saw something happen in the past few weeks actually, where it jumped 14%. That's huge. Most people are not going to get that level of appreciation on their portfolio this year. Even if you had a 14% appreciation and cashed out and did not trade or make a financial move, quote unquote, in this manner for the rest of the year, that means an individual still ended their portfolio at the end of the year with a 14% return on capital gain, ladies and gentlemen. 14%. It's not taken away from you because you don't do anything else, but not having the upside benefit is what families are going to miss. This is called an opportunity cost loss. Oh man, Trust Christian Vote. What should we do with our money? Oh man, I don't really want to do the insurance because I don't see the long term value in it, and I don't know that it's a 300-year-old thing, and it's 300 years, and it's just more valuable than gold and silver. They do make it very appealing with the contracts and the modern era. At the same time, anybody can argue that contracts have been around since the beginning of time or whenever modern man. But ladies and gentlemen, silver has been there too. May not have been in all dealings, but it's been around. It's been used. Used for industrial once again, and used for precious. And for that reason, it's very important to. It's like, oh, we're going to run out and go get a house. Well, people can run out and go get a debt position. This isn't a debt position. This is a true asset holding passive appreciation position. Oh, I'm gonna walk around with my chick, like what they said. I'm gonna walk around like a chicken with his head cut off. What does that mean? You're gonna ignore this gain right now, ladies and gentlemen, trustees? Trustees, y'all know what time it is. We're in the roaring 20s. It is an asset accumulation decade. It is a technology expansion decade. The negativity has to go out of the window right now. We cannot say that the past 20 years of this current century has not been blockbuster. And that company's gone out of business. Right now, the market is poised for growth. Not because if we think about it, the past 3 years has been a wash, as people say. It's been a wash. We're in a market that's poised for growth. We're not saying silver is going to stay above 30. We're saying it's poised for growth because it's growing. It's poised. This is a moment where, once again, we can see a meme stock, a Reddit stock that people go on the internet. The stock goes up $30, $40 in one day. And next thing you know, it doesn't matter if it's 30, 40. We could talk percentages. Even if it's doing a 50% growth in one day, ladies and gentlemen, major Fortune 500 company stocks are not going up 50% in a day. Anybody that goes up 50% in a day, there was levels. It's just something to look into. It's not always positive. When we talk about market manipulation, ladies and gentlemen, it's not always going to get stopped. Market manipulation is going to happen because it's happened since the beginning and they still haven't fixed it. No one's fixed it because it's just what it is. In the apple, we don't know how many bad seeds there are. So we're in the market, there's a few bad seeds. They come in every now and then. They go on the Reddit website. They pay people. They tell you, oh, we got this, we got that. Next thing you know, the stock goes up 50%, 40%, 30% in a day. And guess what? 2 days later, the company's back down where it was. That's called they take millions. That's called they take billions. That's called they take your lunch money because you're an unsophisticated investor. This is a very sophisticated move right now. Silver is it. If anybody wants to make it sound sophisticated, it's sophisticated. Why? Because it's a underplayed asset. Gold is Muhammad Ali, is one of the mentors used to say, but silver uh is definitely still up there. Whoever's next to Muhammad Ali, we don't know. We don't care. But definitely, silver is one of those assets. Right now, we have some trustees tell us, "Oh, we got to sell off some assets right now." You think this would be a good time to sell silver? Oh no, well, we're selling it high, Christian. Well, trust Christian. Well, where did you get it at? We got it at 20. It's at 30. That's almost a 50% return. It's almost a 30% growth. Plus, what are we talking about here? You take what you need and you keep it moving. Life is life. That's the reason why you have an asset. So if you need to sell, you have an asset. You have cash. And you have more than what you started with that particular asset. That's how you know it's a great asset too. The thing about it is people don't really know the long-term value of silver. If you were to ask the average individual walking around, hey, how much do you think silver should cost? How much does silver cost an ounce? Oh man, well, a year ago it was less than $25. It was less than $28 a year ago. Okay, it's over 30 now. Where do you think it's going to go? I don't know, man. I mean, who knows where it could go? Well, let's look, ladies and gentlemen. Silver, the last time it was above $30 was in 2013, outside of 30 in 2020. 2013. That was the financial crisis. Last time it went up like this right now. It was in 2010. That's when that last spike started. Let's go all the way back to the 80s, ladies and gentlemen, for the pump and dump that they had in the 80s. It was in the 80s. It was in the 80s. Wow. Silver's been above $35 in the 80s for that short period. It was there in the 2000s, from 2010 up until 11 for a year plus, over 35. Ladies and gentlemen, silver's hit 40. It hit it in the 80s. It hit it in 2011. It hit $45. It did? Yeah. It hit it in the 80s. What happened to it? Why did it take so long? It hasn't gotten there yet. Hold on. What happened in the 80s? Do you guys remember? Did you do your research? That's how you can find out about the asset. The tape. The tape's going to tell you why it's going to move the way it's moving. We're in the middle of a generational, we don't want to call it a war. Um, it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It just is what it is. You know, unfortunately, you got to kind of look at it and say, well, the history is the history. It was above, it hit 50 in the 80s. It hit it in 2011. Just look over the tape. Look at these wealth transfers happening in front of your face. 80s was a wealth transfer. 2010 to 12. You think it wasn't a wealth transfer in real estate? Oh man, in real estate, go get real estate, go get real estate. How? There was a wealth transfer going on. So that means the people that got foreclosed on, they lost it, and the people that had capital, they got it. Right. We're in the market once again where silver's in that range. And they've already called, oh, well, the gurus, which are usually goofballs. Anybody that's painting a picture of negativity is a goofball. It's a preparedness mentality. As we're in finance, as we're in business, as we're in life, it's about being prepared. So it's not about being scared. Oh, we're calling for a recession. Why do you want that? Why do you want the market to reset? For all you guys out there that are homeowners, for all you all out there that are planning on buying a home, once again, if you're listening to the market, people say that the housing market is overpriced. They say the housing market has been overpriced for years. People have been asking for a correction, just like interest rates. Interest rates have gone up, and people are asking for a correction. Oh, they are. Silver's having a correction right now. It went below 30 after 2020. We're back at a moment where the stock market is at a high, gold's at a high, silver's at a high. And guess what? Last time that happened was right before the pandemic. We're in that market again. The market was roaring. We could almost say that the presidential election is not affecting the stock market. It should, quote unquote. It is. It's making people play safe. This right here shows it. It's an indicator. Highs for years. That's how you know where we are in the market. We definitely encourage you to continuously develop your mindset and continuously develop your portfolio. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. Definitely appreciate everybody that tuned in live, listen to replay. This is $30 silver and what it means. What it means is the market's on a roar, it's on a tear. It's time to get the job done, ladies and gentlemen. That means the family has to hold assets. This is less than 2 or 3 months of cable TV. People just missed on the upside because of priorities. So, families that reach out to the vault and we talk about these things, we wanted to talk about this because it's not going to get talked about by most. It's an ugly asset. People don't like silver as an asset, but they do. They just don't say it in the public markets. It's a privately held asset by many, and as well, it's an industrial use publicly. So we're seeing the market, not the street, not your friends, not your family. We're seeing the market, investors, accredited or not, saying, hey, we need to hold some of that right now. Why? It just made a 14% move. Oh, Christian Navarro, is this a meme stock? Is it going to do a 40% move and go back down? You should ask that question to your financial advisor. Hey, man, do we have silver in the portfolio? Do you think it's going to continue to make a 14% jump? Where do you see it going by the year end? Where do you see it long term in the next 3 to 5 years? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we already knew this was going to happen. We just were excited to see that it's made its move in actually short periods of time. That shows you that these assets are going to appreciate with velocity over a period of time. They're going to increase with velocity. Oh, the housing market. If the housing market continues to increase with velocity, people will be outpriced in the market. Silver didn't outprice anybody. It cost less than a meal. It cost food. And it also made a 14% appreciation in 6 months. You could have bought a meal for dinner and had a 14% appreciation. That means that it's actually going to pay you the next day a little bit. It's going to give you a tenth of what you ate the day before. And do people think in those terms? Do they have that thought process? And if you kept acquiring it and kept acquiring it, you're able to eat for 10 more percent every single day. It's ladies and gentlemen, do the numbers on this asset right now. Maybe you outpriced on gold, but silver, this was the gorilla that was sitting in the room. This was the pink elephant that was sitting in the room with gold, because gold is shiny. Gold is sitting up there at the top. But right under the capstone, as they say, came the friendly sidekick. And the friendly sidekick were usually great. The friendly sidekick is silver right now. He should get beat up. He did for 2 or 3 years during the pandemic. Same with gold, though. It got beat up with his cohort. And now it's back. Let's go look at the dollar before we depart, because Americans try to say the dollar's going down, the dollar's going down. If the dollar's going down, where is silver right now? It didn't go down. And when we say go down, we're talking about zero. Once again, we're not, it does not, nothing is going to go to zero. So if anything, you're just buying yourself time when you're actually acquiring assets such as this. Anyways, the dollar is over 100, quote unquote. So it has good, it has a decent exchange in the world, around the world right now. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, even when we're talking about the dollar, it's sad to see Americans, talk bad about the dollar, that they live in that country. And it's like, well, if you're mad about inflation right now or any of the sort, why would you want the market to deteriorate the value that you're currently working for every single day? And that's why people are banking on a reset. They're banking on it. They're banking on a reset. Oh man, if the market resets, then I'm a what? You're gonna be broke. If the market resets, you're going to be broke. So what do you hold? For everybody that's sitting in the room or listening, and that's not your thought process, excuses for going there, but we gotta go there because there are people sitting in the audience saying the market's gonna crash. Like stating this and not aware that fools get exposed. The market is not crashing, ladies and gentlemen. It's on a roar. Remember when they said the market was going to crash? The market didn't crash on its own in 2020. It took some existential circumstance. It took a black swan event, as they say. That was a black swan event. So now we're here. Back in a moment where, oh wow, I was supposed to have studied, become familiar with assets, and go back to acquiring assets. Why? Because the assets are actually appreciating, which means money's going in them. And in turn, we're not looking for a downside. We're looking for the upside. Because that's the direction of the market. It's going in the up direction. It's not going to go up forever. We're not going to say it's going to go up, up, and never have a reset or a retracement. We are saying that. We also know that this was one of those indicators that Americans, those people, the ones that say, oh, well, the dollar's getting weaker. Once again, we'll go to the dollar real quick for all the ones that say this type of stuff. It's unfortunate because they're betting against themselves. It makes no sense. You're betting against yourself if you talk like that. Okay? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the dollar has been over this position since 2020. It's been strong, ladies and gentlemen. What are we talking about here? Like, what is the purpose of wanting the dollar to go down? Just like, what would be the purpose of you wanting silver to go down? It's not. It's not going to go to zero. This fear mongering over the internet, it's the reason why Trust Christian Revolt just keeps doing episodes. Because the fear mongering is only preying on if you have a weakness, which is either lack of knowledge or, just something you don't know. So somebody that's invested in this market may tell you, oh, it's a bad market. Really? But it's going up. Are you selling or buying? And let's hear their position. So the fear mongering's got to stop. That whole thing has got to stop. We're here to we're here to put content out to let that go, to get rid of that. So $30 silver, ladies and gentlemen. There's no fear mongering. Oh man, you see where it's at? You should have got in. We don't tell you that. You should have got in. It's not a should have. What do you think the market, if it went up 14% and it's past this position already before in the past, there's a historical reference that it could go further up. Not financial advice or legal advice, just being aware of the market. This is a market that is, before the pandemic was growing at this rate. And now we're back in a market where the market is speaking for itself. Sophisticated investors are talking. Are we in the sophisticated category, or are we in the category of unsophisticated, which is just unknowledgeable about the asset and the benefit of holding it? And a diverse portfolio. People want to say, oh man, I got a 401k, I got my stocks, I got this. But did you diversify into one that could, like this one? Or are you holding paper? Only paper. Trust Christian Revolt, should we be holding the hard asset? Once again, are you holding the hard asset or paper? It is recommended to hold the hard asset. If you're going to be in paper, you might as well go get the, what is that? If you're gonna get the paper, you just might as well have a stock. And just, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this might be hard to hear. It's better to stick to the country national coins because those are considered legal tender, as people say. Oh man, gold and silver is the only real money. Okay, well, let's stick to the countries doing that. Let's not try to, you hear these fancy coins, collector coins, which what happens when you're in a collector's position. When you're in a collector's position, you're in a position where you're not supposed to sell, and you're not selling traditionally in the public market. You're selling in a private sale because it's a collector's piece. When we say collectors, that means that it's not an everyday currency value like the ones that are minted by the country. They'll usually say $50, $100, whatever on there, $1. Whereas if you're going to get like a specialty coin with like a special animal on it, a special like they have like anniversary editions and things of that nature, anything that's not like just a regular coin of that country can present challenges in the future when you're looking to liquidate. It's not to say that it cannot happen, but challenges in the liquidation department definitely can present that, because now you're going to fight against the buyer because they may not value it as the price that you say it is. You're first of all trying to say that it's more than the spot price. The spot price is the normal coin. You have a collector's coin, so you're going to try to get more because most people are trying to get more for collector's coins because they're specialty coins. It's not that many in circulation, and that's beautiful. Like if you get a specialty coin, it's literally minted on a hard asset. You can't just change it, and so it has value. The value's in the eye of the beholder. If the buyer doesn't see that value, like the public market sees the value, they're going to try to talk you down. They're going to try to talk you down that value. They don't see the value in having a specialty coin. So we never encourage to work with trustees and say, hey, the specialty is the route to go. It's just traditionally just go ahead, cash out with the what is that? Go ahead and cash out with the regular coins of the country. Should you grab other coins, or can you grab other coins from other countries? Why not? Do you go to Canada? Do you go to Mexico? Do you go to? You may never go to China, but is it okay to grab one of those? Sure. What about South Africa? What about Australia? Do you plan on going there? Those are definitely ones that you may keep. And once again, easy to move through different countries, move through customs with these type of things, with these assets. Obviously, if you're walking into another country and you have paper, you already know that the exchange rates are going to be different. See, people don't think about these things because they're not really moving like this. They're not moving with gold and silver to other countries. They're okay with taking their paper and getting double taxed because of their ignorance. Cool. You can cure ignorance by learning. So we're here to go over the topic of when you go to other countries, the exchange rates are different for silver and gold. Because are we valuing the currency now at that point in the countries that you're coming from currency, or are we valuing that in actual dollars? Excuse us, the exchange for that particular country, just because they're basing it off their value of gold and silver. They still have their own markets and have values of it. Definitely a great asset to move around. A little bit more nimbler to move around with from country to country as well. It's not as easy to move around with paper. You got $10,000 in paper, $100,000 in paper. It's not to say it's like, oh, it's going to go under the radar with a big $100,000 tubes of silver coins or gold coins, but for sure they're going through. It raises less of a flag. It's gold. It's silver. They don't have a machine to weigh it. But money, oh, they might not tell you they got a money counter. They got money counters when you're traveling. And they want to count that money because it's paper. And it has the ability to be double taxed. So silver is one of those ones that gives you some flexibility. We encourage our trustees to do research. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen, replay, even new people. If you're new and you listen to this and got some value out of it, always appreciate it. All the trustees, they ask about this topic all the time. For us to say that we're at $30 silver lets us know that when you're invested, quote unquote, when you do the right things, you get the right results. A lot of people can talk about working for money. They all talk about building businesses, but they all talk about buying houses as an asset, and then silver is that small little sliver that sits in wealthy people's portfolios because it's about the eye of the beholder. Many people saw this coming, and they are the beholder with the value. And they're actually in a position where if they sold right now, it still wouldn't be bad. Why? Because they're considered to be up in the portfolio. You're supposed to sell when you're up, take some of your earnings, and go back in the market based off of a reassessment. Well, they're not selling low. Trust Christian, are you telling us to sell the silver? Once again, we've had trustees come to us this year already and say they got to liquidate some assets. So once again, this is an asset that's already showed you you can take some of your money. That's just what happens. Is the asset supposed to stay at the same price when you bought it? No. The asset went up. You got some appreciation value. Oh man, I don't want to sell the silver. Yeah, it sounds like you don't want to sell your house. See how they're similar? See how they're similar? Oh, it went up in appreciation. It's not giving me cash flow every month, but it appreciated. It's like your house. So is it an asset or is it not? It's an asset, just like your house. But do you think of it like your house? Oh man, I don't want to sell my silver because I don't want to keep missing on the upside. Like I don't want to keep missing on the upside of my house. Right. At the same time, how many people do you know have a that actually pay off their 30-year mortgage? They don't. Silver, you actually own it outright. The family actually owns it outright. It's all clear profit. There is no middleman tax. All this other stuff. Y'all know about this now. Oh man, we got the broker fees. Oh man, we got the seller fees. Oh man, we all these fees. What happens? Remember, it's liquid. That's the benefit. Really proud to work with trustees for years now that have serious holdings of this asset class. And we look forward to hearing them reach out. We look forward to hearing the success stories. Once again, they may have been sitting for years now. Man, I don't think I'm going to sell it. And then they have a moment where they may, and this may be that moment. We're not, Just Christian, how you going to say sell when it's at a high? Once again, I thought you were, isn't that what the common man says? Isn't that what the unsophisticated says? Oh man, sell high, buy low. Right. At the same time, it's not at its low. It's not gonna go. It's not at its high that it's been at, and so that means there's some upside potential, and it's probably not gonna go down to even previous levels pre 2020. So if it does, you have that possibility, but the probability is a little low, or low, quote unquote. At the same time, once again, it's just an asset. People sell assets when they need to. This is one of those assets that, if you need to, this wouldn't be a bad time. Why would I sell high? I can't sell high. If I sell high, I'm going to miss out on the $2 more that's going to be on the stock market tomorrow. It will be $32 tomorrow. And sure, it'll be 18% growth this year. But you still need capital right now. So if people don't need capital right now, do you add more? Do you pour more gas on the fire? Where there's smoke, there's fire. We smell smoke. You smell smoke. It's at 30. It's up over 10% in 6 months. It ain't even 6 months into the year. We're on the 5th month of the year. It's up, what, 10 plus percent? Do we want to capture any more upside? Or are we going to listen to the doom and gloomers? Oh man, silver's not going to stay at 30. You're going to see it lose all of its air and steam by the end of the year. Why? We're in two wars, ladies, and two public international wars that are being very publicized. What do you think they use in wars? Metals, silver, gold, rhodium, platinum, palladium. That's just what it is. These things have taken off, for sure. And we're not saying this because only the war. It's really not that. At the same time, if those wars keep going on, you see where the silver price just went? Right. It might be a considerable thought to possibly say, yeah, if these things keep going on, this might keep going in the direction it's been going. Exactly. No, Trust Christian, if I get in right now, what if it goes down? Well, it did that in 2020. And now it's back up 4 years later. That shows you the cycle of this asset. This isn't bit joke. Let's go look at BitJoke real quick. We'll end it. Appreciate everybody tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to type into the chat where you're listening live, listening to replay from. Definitely always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. Feel free to reach out Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, even if we go look at the BitJoke, like this asset has, what is it, at a high? Like, ladies and gentlemen, this is a fear-based asset. If we don't even call it asset, this is a fear-based uh, uh, vehicle. Everything's a financial vehicle, whether it's a company or a stock, they're financial vehicles. So when we look at BitJoke, this thing has pulled off a seven. It's at 70K right now on May, and people say, "Oh man, I missed it. What are you talking about, Trust Christian? We missed it. We missed thousands of upside with this. We missed thousands. You talking about 10?" Once again, when are people going to sell the Bitcoin? It's the same thing with the. It's the same thing with your house. People are going to ridicule you for selling the Bitcoin. Why would you sell the Bitcoin? It's like it's an asset. It's supposed to appreciate. It's the same thing with the silver. It's supposed to appreciate. Why would you sell it? Then it gets quiet. When are you going to sell it? How are you going to get back in that position? When are you going to get back in that position? Doesn't sound like it's going to be easy to get back in that position. Why? It won't be easy to get back in that position because you might liquidate out of the position. And it might be higher when you go back. And people don't have that type of capital because what asset in the public markets costs $70,000? People make it sound like they investing with Warren Buffett or something. People don't even know the owners of Bitcoin. They don't know who created Bitcoin. You know the owner and the founder of Berkshire Hathaway? Yeah, that's why that stock costs $200,000. Wait, let's go see what Berkshire Hathaway costs nowadays. Berkshire Hathaway, it's like, oh yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna give my money to Warren Buffett. Yeah, that's a bad idea. We're being sarcastic. So let's go there. What are we looking for? Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway stock. First of all, Class B's at 400%. Class B's at an all-time high. It's up to, yeah, that's that. Class B's at an all-time high. So you can still get in on that. Oh, I don't know if I want to give Warren Buffett my money. Right. So this is the stuff that people talk about in the public, but they want to give it to Bitcoin because it sounded sexy. Once again, Warren Buffett stock, the company Berkshire Hathaway, Class A stock is at $600,000. Most people don't have $600,000 to go and invest with Warren Buffett at $600,000. But Warren Buffett is so savvy, he's like, oh, we'll just do a poor man stock. So he did a Class B. He did a Class B, and in turn, the Class B sold for $400. Appreciate everybody tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody tuning in live, listening to replay. Once again, silver is affordable. It's not 600K. It's not $400. It's not even $2,000 like gold. But that's like asking you, do you think we'll see $2,000 silver? Why not? There's no way silver could be that expensive. People say silver would make it back to where it is right now. But they were quiet about it because they knew they were going to have to eat their words. Same thing with gold. But then you got these public guys that are fear mongering. Oh, go into bonds, go into bonds. They've been going into bonds for 3 years now, ladies and gentlemen. They've been going into bonds for 4 years saying, oh, yeah, we need to get a minimum of 4 to 5% returns. This is what they're talking about in the public. Oh, man, if you go get in bonds right now, we're not giving financial advice, legal advice. They say, oh, man, if you go get in bonds right now, then, you're going to get your 4 to 5, maybe your 6. That was still under inflation. Do you hear how public markets are playing it safe, playing out to lose? Oh man, we gotta go get into bonds. Bonds? And then we just had silver beat them up again. Silver's always beat up bonds. It's always beat up these asset classes. Gold's beat these asset classes because they're not just a paper asset, they actually have tangible value. It's not just like going off a pure hypothecation. It's going off a tangible value at that moment.
It's not just something that's traded via paper. It's something that people can trade for less value than what the paper is. Usually on the paper market, the brokers, the exchanges have to honor the paper market price, whereas in the private markets, that's not always the case. And silver is a private asset. It's on the public exchanges, but once again, it can be moved a little bit differently because it is tangible. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. It's a really exciting episode. Reach out to Christian, reach out to the vault at Christian@trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian@trustchristian.com. Once again, the email Christian@trustchristian.com. We'll have someone get back out to you for consultations. We're still doing trustee training. A bunch of people have reached out for trustee training for a while now. We're still doing trustee training. Actually, have our next webinar coming up. Really excited about that. So look forward to hearing from you all. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you all, and peace and joy.